Welcome back to The Deep Dive, your shortcut to getting up to speed on complex topics.
Hey there.
Today, we're diving into the 2024 Paladin for Dungeons & Dragons.
Absolutely. And our mission today, well, it's pretty straightforward. We want to cut through all the rules jargon and really get to the heart of the 2024 Paladin.
Yeah, what makes it tick? Especially how it's changed.
Exactly. So whether you're, a longtime D&D player, maybe just curious about the class, or somewhere in between, we're pulling the key info from expert sources, like the guides over at RPG BOT, trying to keep it clear and concise.
Right. The goal is simple. When we're done here, you should have a really solid grasp of what the 2024 Paladin is all about, how the rules are different now, and maybe even decide if it's the right fit for your next character, or just satisfy your curiosity.
Sounds good.
So where do we start? What are the fundamental strengths of this new Paladin? What's the core identity?
Well, okay, even with all the updates, the Paladin absolutely keeps its reputation for being, tough, durable, survivable, pretty self-sufficient.
Okay.
What's interesting is how that natural toughness, which gets boosted by some of the new changes we'll get into, lets them work really well alone, but also makes them incredibly valuable in, well, pretty much any party.
RPG BOT highlights those classic roles, right?
Right. Defender,
Face for the social stuff, Striker for damage, and a bit of healer and utility thrown in. Sounds very flexible.
It is. And those roles, they definitely shift depending on the oath, the subclass you choose. That choice heavily influences where you lean.
So how does that play out, like with healing?
Okay, healing. Lay on Hands is still the big one here.
Yeah.
And the major change, it's now a bonus action.
Oh, wow, that's big.
It's huge, yeah. Because now, in one turn, a paladin can hit something hard and pop off a heal to an ally or themselves. It's like this deep pool of healing. And later on, it can even remove some conditions. It means a paladin could potentially cover the party's healing needs, but maybe lacks those quick-ranged options like Healing Word, especially early on.
Gotcha. And for the damage side, the Striker role, we've got Divine Smite, still the iconic powerhouse.
Yeah, Paladin Smite, as it's now called. Still incredibly potent for that burst damage. But, and this is the crucial part, it runs on spell slots.
Right, the limiting factor.
Exactly. You can't just, smite everything that moves. You have to be tactical about it.
Okay.
And looking at the whole class, it's interesting. There are a lot of features, lots of little interactions with core mechanics. It seems complex on paper.
Yeah.
But the guide suggests it's actually quite good for new players because that complexity ramps up gradually. You're not hit with everything at level 1, levels 1, 2, 3, slowly introduce the core parts.
Huh. That's counterintuitive. Complex, but good for beginners. What about experienced players?
For them, it offers really strong support capabilities without necessarily needing a full support build. That versatility makes it great, especially if you're in a party with, say, newer players alongside veterans. You can fill multiple roles.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Let's get into the nitty-gritty then. What are the really significant rule changes we need to know about for 2024?
Yep, okay. Several big ones. We already mentioned Lay on Hands becoming a bonus action, huge for action economy. But remember, it doesn't cure diseases anymore. That's gone.
Right, lost the disease cure. What else?
Spell casting, you get it at level 1 now.
Earlier magic. Nice.
Yeah, feels good early on. But the trade-off is spell preparation is tighter. You can only swap out one prepared spell after a long rest.
Ooh, okay, so less flexible day-to-day spell choice.
Exactly. More commitment required for your daily list. Then there's weapon mastery.
That's the new system for martial classes, right?
Right. Gives you extra tactical options based on the weapon you're using. Adds a bit more depth to combat choices.
And fighting styles change too.
Big time. You choose it at level 2, and it basically functions like picking a feat now.
Yeah.
And the really cool part, you can change your fighting style every single time you level up.
Oh, really? Every level?
Yep. And paladins aren't restricted like before. They can choose any fighting style available, or pick Blessed Warrior to snag a couple of cleric cantrips. Think about adapting your style as the campaign shifts.
That's incredible flexibility. Wow. Okay, what about the Smite? Paladin Smite, you called it.
Yes. Formerly Divine Smite. Key changes here. It's always prepared now. You don't use a preparation slot on it.
Okay, convenient.
You trigger it as a bonus action after you hit with a melee attack, and this includes unarmed strikes now, which is neat.
Unarmed smites. Interesting.
But it's strictly once per turn. No more unloading multiple smites in a single round using multiple attacks. And you can't use it on opportunity attacks either.
Ah, okay. So they're definitely reining in that huge burst or nova potential Makes sense for balance.
Seems like it. Also, divine health, the feature that gave disease immunity, that's gone.
Right, we mentioned lay on hands lost disease cure, so that tracks.
Channel Divinity got an update too. You now get 2 uses per short rest right from the start, eventually scaling up to 3. And Divine Sense isn't a separate thing anymore. It's now one of the options when you use your Channel Divinity power.
Okay, more uses, integrated feature. And level 5.
Level 5 brings a brand new feature. Faithful Steed, you just get the Fine Steed spell prepared for free. Big boon for anyone wanting a mount.
Nice. Mounts are cool. What about Aura of Protection? That's always been huge for Paladins.
The core effect, that fantastic charisma bonus to saving throws for you and nearby allies that's still there, still amazing at level 6.
Thank goodness.
The change is more about structure. The newer auras you get later on are sort of designed to build on top of Aura of Protection, making the whole system a bit easier to understand, supposedly.
Okay, framework change. Anything else new or removed?
Yes. Abjure Foes is a new ability at level 9, gives you some crowd control, kind of like a feature some subclasses used to get. Radiant Strikes at level 11 is just the new name for improved Divine Smite, adds that extra radiant damage to hits.
Just a rename, got it.
But Cleansing Touch, the higher level ability that removed nasty conditions and spells, that's removed entirely.
Ouch. That was powerful later on.
It was. However, there's a new level 14 feature called Restoring Touch. It lets you spend points from your Lay on Hands pool specifically to remove conditions, similar to casting Lesser Restoration. So there's still condition removal, just tied to Lay on Hands points.
Okay, so a different mechanism for condition removal later. Lots of shifts there. Some clear gains in action economy, some losses in immunities, and condition cleansing flexibility. Interesting.
Definitely a significant rework.
All right, let's connect these changes back to those roles you mentioned earlier. How does the 2024 Paladin stack up as a defender?
Well, baseline, you've got heavy armor proficiency. That's your starting point for durability.
Solid foundation.
Then at level 6, boom, Aura of Protection kicks in. Boosting all saving throws for you and nearby allies is just massive for mitigating fight-ending effects, makes everyone tougher.
Yeah, that aura is legendary for a reason.
And then add that new Abjure Foes at level 9, having a reliable way to frighten enemies or push them back gives you real battlefield control, helping protect your squishier friends.
Okay, yeah, armor, saves, control. Sounds like a proper defender. What about being the party face? Handling social stuff?
That's where Charisma pulls double duty. It fuels a lot of your Paladin class features, and it powers key social skills like Intimidation and Persuasion.
So you need good charisma anyway.
Right. Paladins are famously a bit mad. Multiple ability dependent. You generally want strength or maybe dexterity for your attacks, constitution for hit points and concentration saves, and charisma for spells, auras, channel divinity, and those social skills. So yeah, investing in charisma helps you be a better paladin overall, and it directly benefits your ability to persuade or intimidate. Plus, your background choice can snag you extra skill proficiencies.
So maybe not quite the skill monkey a bard is, but definitely capable in social scenes if you build for it.
Exactly. They have the potential to be quite effective. Now, striker hitting hard, how's that look now?
With the smite changes.
Yeah. Paladin Smite, even capped at once per turn, is still your go-to for big damage spikes. You crit, you smite. Need to finish something off. Smite.
Still satisfying.
Oh, yeah. Then level 5 brings extra attack, which doubles your chances to hit and, well, apply that one smite per turn.
More consistency.
Right. And Radiant Strikes at level 11 just adds free damage onto your weapon attacks consistently, turn after turn. Plus, Weapon Mastery gives you a little tactical damage boosts or effects depending on your weapon. So, solid, consistent damage with bursts available.
Okay. And healing, we touched on it, but just to recap, bonus action lay on hands for in-combat patching up.
Yep. Immediate, significant healing potential.
And restoring touch later for conditions, using the same lay on hands pool. More like a combat medic than a primary care physician.
Huh. Yeah, that's a pretty good way to put it. They can provide crucial healing bursts and handle some conditions, but maybe not the sustained widespread healing or the sheer utility spell list of a dedicated cleric or druid. Capable support, though.
Makes sense. Okay, let's talk flavor. Subclasses, the oaths. These really define the type of paladin you are, right? What are the core options in the 2024 Player's Handbook?
There are 4 main ones presented. First up, Oath of Devotion.
Ah, the classic knight in shining armor.
Pretty much. All about protecting the innocent, upholding justice, fighting capital evil, especially fiends and undead. They get things like Sacred Weapon to make their attacks more accurate and protection against charm effects. Very iconic paladin feel.
Okay, what's next?
Oath of Glory. This one's more about personal prowess and inspiring others through heroic deeds.
It's like a champion athlete type.
Sort of. They can grant temporary hit points, boost their own defenses with things like Inspiring Smite or Glorious Defense, and even give allies extra speed with Aura of Alacrity. Very focused on battlefield presence and bolstering allies.
Interesting. Then there's Oath of the Ancients. Sounds different.
It really is. This is your Nature Warden, Feywild-connected Paladin. They wield the power of nature and light, often focused on protecting the natural world or fighting those who would corrupt it.
So less plate mail, more vines.
Maybe. They get crowd control like Nature's Wrath, spells like Misty Step for mobility, and Aura of Warding gives resistance against spell damage. A very different flavor.
Cool. And the last one?
Oath of Vengeance. This one is pretty intense. Driven by a need to punish the wicked, bring retribution.
The Punisher Paladin?
Yeah, kind of. They're often focused on taking down specific high-priority targets. Features like Vow of Enmity give them advantage against a chosen foe, and they have abilities like Relentless Avenger and Soul of Vengeance to chase down and finish off their quarries. Very high damage potential. Very focused.
Wow, yeah. So devotion, glory, ancients, vengeance. Quite a range of themes there. Your oath choice really matters.
Absolutely fundamental to the character's identity and abilities.
Okay, we mentioned paladins being mad, needing multiple high ability scores. Let's quickly recap that. What scores, skills, and maybe feats are generally important?
Right, so the big three are strength or dexterity for your attacks and armor.
Depending on build, yeah.
Constitution for hit points, obviously, but also crucial for maintaining concentration on your spells if you get hit. And charisma, which fuels your spell casting difficulty, your saving throw DCs, aura of protection, channel divinity options, lay on hands, healing amount, and those social skills.
So charisma is arguably the most important. It touches so much.
It really is central to the paladin chassis. Neglecting it makes you significantly weaker in multiple areas. It's a tough balancing act.
And skills. Besides the charisma ones like persuasion, intimidation.
Athletics is often useful for strength-based paladins. Perception is always good. Insight can be handy. Depends a bit on your party role and background.
Makes sense. What about feats? Any standouts for the 2024 Paladin?
Well, Resilient Constitution is almost always a strong consideration just to help keep those concentration spells up.
Always good for casters.
If you're going strength-based with a big weapon, Great Weapon Master or maybe Savage Attacker can really punk up your damage numbers.
For the smashy types.
For dexterity builds, Defensive Duelist can add a nice reaction-based AC boost. And with Faithful Steed being baked in now, Mounted Combatant becomes a much more viable and attractive option for anyone wanting to fight from horseback.
Oh yeah, good point about the mount.
And don't forget, taking the Blessed Warrior fighting style instead of a combat one could function almost like a feat choice, giving you cleric cantrips for utility or different attack options.
Lots to consider for customization there. Okay, let's try and wrap this all up. What's the final word on the 2024 Paladin? What should you, our listener, really take away?
I think the main takeaway is that the 2024 Paladin remains incredibly versatile and potent, but with some really interesting tweaks. The move to make Lay on Hands a bonus action is a massive quality of life improvement in combat.
Yeah, that feels huge.
Paladin Smite being always prepared, and a bonus action simplifies things, even with the once per turn limit reining in the absolute peak damage. Weapon Mastery adds a welcome layer of tactical choice for martial combat.
And the spellcasting changes.
Getting spells at level 1 is great, feels more magical earlier, but that restriction on preparing spells only changing 1 per long rest means you need to be more deliberate with your choices.
Right. Plan ahead more.
Exactly. So overall, whether you want that Shining Knight, the Inspiring Champion, the Nature Guardian, or the Relentless Avenger, the 2024 Paladin provides a really strong, adaptable framework to build upon. It feels streamlined in some ways, deeper in others.
An excellent summary. Thanks so much for breaking all that down.
My pleasure.
And to you, the learner, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the 2024 Paladin. For more detailed breakdowns, definitely check out the guides on RPGBOT, and remember the Versalift channel on YouTube for more great D&D content like this.
And just one final thought to leave you with. Considering all these changes, the new mechanics, the different flavors of the oaths, what kind of Paladin story are you now inspired to tell in your next game?
That is a great question to chew on. We'd love to hear what you come up with. Until next time on The Deep Dive, keep exploring.